like, you get a new president, they make their big swings, and then you try to, like, moonwalk out of those deals less than a year later. I don't know how many, like, it's just not the way a regime usually works.
No.
Normally ownership would be like, I'm sorry?
Right.
Like, you came in here
You're
and
fired.
You asked me to sign off on all of those deals. And now, like, here we are 11 months later, and you would like to backtrack out of them, but we probably still need to pay for half of them? That's a tough putt.
No, it's a brutal putt.
That's a tough putt.
And, I mean, it's made a lot easier by the fact that it's Buster Posey. And, Buster Posey is the president of baseball ops. And you get the job because you're a small part owner of the team, but you mainly get the gig because you're Buster Posey. And now you go ahead and trade for Devers, and that deal looks like it's a bad one. And you took on his contract. You knew what his contract was when you traded for him, but you signed Willy Adames, and he's owed, all the way through 2031. You're going to be paying him. And Matt Chapman, you gave him an extension, and he's got 4 more years of $25 million a year. So, yeah, you want to get out of all 3? I don't even know if they do want to get out of all 3, but clearly you didn't want Patrick Bailey to be your catcher anymore. And on May 9th, you trade him. So I don't know what's going on, but Buster Posey, I don't know how much longer he's going to have this job.
I think he's going to have it for a while.
Well, this is a disaster.
So far, Rafael Devers OPS in the month of May, 1,049.
Woohoo! All right.
Well, wait a minute.
Send him.
No, I didn't say that. A lot of people have talked. Remember the whole month of May thing?
Right.
Remember how many Red Sox fans were like, just wait. He always does this for the first 6 weeks of the season. He's going to perk up. He'll hit the baseball. And we even joked. Remember, we're like, well, tomorrow's May. And everyone says he's going to perk up in the month of May. Well, his OPS in the month of May is 1,049.
He's perked up.
He's perked up.
Okay.
It's a very small sample. You're talking about
8 games?
9 baseball games. Okay. But in those 9 baseball games, he is 10 for 30 with 2 home runs and 4 doubles.
All right.
Yep.
There you go. Keep him. Extend him. You have him until 2033.
And only 9 strikeouts.
Not bad.
It's lower than the rate had been.
Strikeout a game. It's not terrible.
Yeah. Oh.
And Adames is now above 200, so what are we even talking about? You know?
We got a lot to talk about. And we're going to play the Rosenthal sound here from Fair Territory in just a second. No, I'm throwing that out there for conversation's sake. I still think that's kind of why I'm scratching my head a little bit about the idea of now offloading these massive contracts. It is still very, very early in the tenures of Devers and Willy Adames. Are they overpaid? Probably. Do you have to overpay good talent in pro sports? Usually. So, I'm not yet fully offended by those 2 deals just by themselves. It's more the entire collective. And this week, I can only tell you what is suddenly kind of making my antennas go up, and that is that it does not make sense to call Bryce Eldridge up to the big club. If you're looking at the next week and a half of your life, you're realizing that a big series with the Dodgers is around the corner. Absolutely, literally, I don't think they've faced a left-hander since Bryce came up. San Diego threw 3 righties.
Right.
Didn't the Pirates throw 3 righties?
Sounds about right.
And they're throwing a righty tonight?
That's right.
And a righty tomorrow? They're just righties. And you're going to bring him up here and let him watch? And on the one game that he does play over the last 4, he bomb skis out into the water? I know it was on a bounce.
Right.
But
now he sits. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
So, you have to think about it and wonder, why would they even call him up? And it's not like they called him up and he's been terrible. He has 2 hits. One of them's a home run, and he has not necessarily been great, but you expected him to come up here and struggle. He is a young player who only had a tiny cup of coffee last year, so you didn't bring him up thinking that, oh, he'd better hit right away or else we're going to have him sit. You had to expect that he was going to go through some growing pains in the bigs, and he's going through those, but now he's just not playing baseball regularly.
Yeah.
And you expect him to, I don't know, go in there tomorrow possibly and suddenly be more comfortable. The guy's got to play to get comfortable.
And by the way, what we were all waiting for with the constant strikeouts, his strikeout rate, again, 2026 baseball, I don't know. It's kind of commensurate with what it's been, but what I'm looking for, because the 30% strikeout rate in the minors is a little high. In the bigs, in today's day and age, as a power hitter, that's not the craziest thing. He has 5 strikeouts and 14 at-bats. I'm actually not even all that turned off by that. I'm not. It's kind of what you said. It's a strikeout a game. Like, all right, it happens. But, he's drawn a couple walks. He's got a home run. But it's 14 at-bats. It's nothing.
Right.
Play. You get to play.
Or go back to Sacramento and play. Like, the one thing you cannot do is have him sit and watch baseball games. And that's what we said, you and I both, like at the start of the year, even before we knew that he was going to start in AAA. I was saying that if you're going to have him with the big club, he's got to play every day. And I thought that he should be out there playing first base, which he's been primarily DHing. He hasn't played first base, but no matter where he is, he's got to play baseball. And that's the one thing that they haven't done.
Ken Rosenthal, one of the top baseball reporters out there in Voices. Fair Territory is his platform. This is what he said on Posey's big moves.
The moves that Posey has made so far, you put them all together. In sum, it's subtraction by addition. They have not worked. Now, there are a lot of reasons for this. And what's weird about the Giants is that some people felt, including myself, I would say, that going into the season, their offense would maybe not be great, but it would be at least league average. It's not anywhere close. The Giants are one of the worst offenses in the game, fewest homers, fewest walks, a historically low walk rate. It's kind of incredible the way that they've cratered offensively. Now, as I wrote, most of that is on the players. Rafael Devers should be better than this. Willy Adames should be better than this. Matt Chapman, the same. But at the same time, this was the sum result or the end result of these moves that they've made. Now, again, I'll repeat. Each move that you look at with the Giants that Posey has made, the big ones, they made sense at the time.
That's true. That's true. There wasn't anything that we smacked down at the time. So I get that. But here's listen to the question that Ken asks here.
What I like about Buster Posey, and what actually a lot of fans should like about Buster Posey, is that in an age when most heads of baseball operations are risk averse, afraid to make any move that they think can come back to haunt them, Posey does this repeatedly, one after another. He is decisive, he is bold, he is all of that. That is to be applauded. The problem is, when it doesn't work, well, then you wonder, okay, where this is going. And that is a fair question with the Giants right now. Where is this going?
I mean, where is it going?
Just going to let that sit there.
Right. And
where is this going?
So he's not risk averse, and he made bold moves. Mm-hmm. You traded, 4 players for Devers, and you thought, all right, he's a professional hitter. He's a guy who can be the anchor of our lineup for years and years to come. Well, where is it going? And I know he's starting to hit better. May came around, and Devers is starting to resemble Devers, but I don't know what you actually can do other than hope that Devers can, hit the ball. You can't, this is not like in football where you can just cut a guy and, eat the dead cap. You owe Devers hundreds of millions of dollars.
Do you remember the whole Garoppolo side field thing?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what just popped into my head. And it was the problem that I had with this at the time. And you'll remember this debate we had. The second that the 49ers, this is one of those moments, too, where I still remember exactly where I was. I was picking my kid up at school. You and I were still doing the middays.
Yep.
And we get the word that the 49ers, this is after Jimmy's already done his see ya press conference, and the 49ers they're bringing Garoppolo back. And I'm like, oh, gosh, they don't like Trey Lance. They're not. Because Trey Lance was about to start that season. And we never really, really got to see the whole thing play out the way that you would like because he got hurt in his second game against Seattle. But I will go to my grave with the idea that one of the reasons, if not the reason, that the 49ers kept Jimmy Garoppolo that year was because they were hedging their bets. They did not like what was happening in practice with Trey Lance. Why do I bring that up? Here's why. When these sports franchises have massive assets and they have poured a lot of their assets and time and energy into certain players, they are highly incentivized to not block those players and have those players looking over their shoulder. So why would you bring in literally a former Super Bowl in that building quarterback and hang him right around the back of Trey Lance as his career is about to start? There couldn't be more investment in Trey Lance. They gave up 3 first rounds of assets to draft this player. And before he even started, they're like, Jimmy's still here. And immediately I was like, that's not good. That's not good. So, Bryce Eldridge. It's not like the Giants are surprised that he's here. He was their number 1 prospect last year.
Right.
Yet, the second you could, you went out and you got Rafael Devers. Like, maybe we can add this to the conversation. Because I just said a short time ago, maybe there's another big deal coming. And the first thing you said was, Eldridge?
Right.
And I'm thinking at this point, no, but maybe. I mean, the reason I'd say no is because the Giants are 16-24. Why would you trade your top prospect when you're 16-24? But is Buster sold on Bryce Eldridge?
I don't think that Buster drafted him.
He was not sold on Patrick Bailey.
Right.
And there's a whole list of players that were not his draft picks that Buster has moved on from since arriving. So I don't know, but it is odd. It's odd that they have blocked their top asset.
And they've blocked it by acquiring a guy who is going to be here until 2033. And he's a guy who is either a first baseman or a DH, and Bryce Eldridge is either a first baseman or a DH. So why would you go out and acquire Rafael Devers to ostensibly block Bryce Eldridge for years and years to come? And yet, this year, you decided that you were going to bring up Bryce Eldridge and have a look at him, and he's gone 2 for 14 with a home run, and now he's going to sit again tonight. So it seems to me like if you weren't that thrilled with Bryce Eldridge, then you just leave him in AAA. You let him go ahead and be great in AAA, and if you want to trade him, then you trade him. But I think that there's got to be some sort of a difference of opinion because you brought him up, and he still is blocked, and he's blocked by Devers and also kind of by Casey Schmidt.
Yeah, he's never been more blocked.
Right. He's double blocked. And so you bring him up, and he's blocked, and even if you did want to trade him, wouldn't he have more value if he was down in Sacramento launching balls?
100%. Like, I don't think the Giants would do that right now because, again, why would you trade top prospects when you are 16-24? When you are in this position, you don't trade your top prospects. But didn't it also feel like, go back to when they called Bryce Eldridge up? It was on the way home, on the plane home from Tampa after an 0-6 road trip. Do you feel like they called Bryce Eldridge up because they're thinking to themselves, we got to have this guy on the squad? He is knocking on the door. We are so excited to get him in there. It is time for Bryce Eldridge. Or did they do it because, and this was my comment at the time, and a lot of you got mad at me, don't look over here.
Shiny object.
Look over here.
Yep.
Don't look at the fact that we just went 0-6 on the road, didn't hit a home run, and had an umpire yell into our dugout, who do you think you are? We're bringing up Bryce Eldridge. Ta-da!
The shiny object theory.
And then you don't play him. I know you played him some, but you're not playing him. 14 at-bats in a full week is not enough. That's not enough at-bats, and he's not in the lineup tonight. So this is just all telling me that the Giants, like their calling up of Bryce Eldridge was partially because, and I do think there was a baseball aspect to it, but the baseball aspect of it was that Buster Posey wanted to shake the branches of the players. I think he wanted to get the attention of his team. So he shook it up a little bit. and he brought up the hot prospect. And Buster may well be sitting back in his chair right now going, Devers and Adames just started hitting all of a sudden. And that's a fair point too. But what's lost in all of this is Bryce. That's what I'm not comfortable with. What's lost in the whole thing is Bryce.
Right.
And hitting.
And playing.
Right.
Like, young player comes up, and I'm looking at his game log, and he's appeared in 5 games, but one of them was as a pinch hitter. And he played on the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and then the 9th, and he pinch hit in the 10th, and he's not playing on the 11th. So, like, that's not consistent playing time. It's not something that a young player certainly would need. And you come out and you play boom, 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 3 straight days, you're DHing, and then now it's on again, off again. And how are you supposed to get into any rhythm as a young major leaguer?
I would love the update on how the Casey Schmidt is working out in right field thing is looking. Because if Casey Schmidt is ready to be in right field, he should be in right field tonight. Jung-Hoo Lee should be in center. I'm not activated about getting Harrison Bader back in the lineup, especially while you got Roki Sasaki going tonight. He is struggling big time. That's who I want Bryce Eldridge hitting against.
Right.
Watch what Vitello and the Giants do. They'll give him tonight off, but they'll put him in tomorrow against Yamamoto. That's not how we build the confidence of a 21-year-old.
Right.
Give him Sasaki, not Yamamoto. But that's what we're doing. And I don't understand. I don't understand. If Buster wanted to do marketing and shake the branches of his top players, that part worked. But if you did it at the expense of at-bats for your number one guy, I could easily argue with the way your record is right now. Bryce Eldridge is way more important to this organization than any of the 3 high-priced guys. I know they're supposed to be around for a really long time, but they're not, quote-unquote, the future. Or maybe they are.
Right? I mean, you gave Harrison Bader 2 years and $20 million. Yep. So he's healthy, so now he gets to play because, that was one of Buster's free agent signings this offseason. So he's making $10 million now. He's making $10 million next year. So I guess Bader, as a veteran, he's healthy. He gets to go out there and play center. And so Jung-Hoo's in right, and Schmidt's got to be the first baseman. And all of it trickles down to Bryce Eldridge, who doesn't get to play again.
Who are your guys? Like, if we, do you know what I mean? I guess Arise is just not on the team next year. Might not even be on the team in July.
Right.
Maybe that's the way they unlock this thing. We should be open to that too. Luis Arise, you could probably trade right now.
Right, and put Casey as second.
Schmidt will be your second baseman.
And then does Bryce get to play?
I hope he'd be the DH.
You can hope.
I would think.
Hold your breath. I mean, it's May. Trades are hard. Apparently not.
Not that hard.
You're able to get Patrick Bailey to Cleveland on May 9th. So, I don't know, maybe Buster out there, trying to shop some of these guys to clear a runway for Bryce Eldridge. But in the meantime, it's just very frustrating to see.
More from Rosenthal with regard to the Patrick Bailey trade.
The Guardians were clearly excited by getting Bailey. In their press conference on Saturday, manager Stephen Vogt said 8 or 9 people from the Giants organization had already reached out to him to congratulate him on the deal. Chris Antonetti, president of baseball operations, talked about a conversation he had with Orioles manager Craig Albanez. Now, Craig Albanez was the Giants catching coach a few years back, and then he became the Guardians bench coach. So he has history with all of this. And he said to Chris Antonetti, now you acquire this guy? And Antonetti said, we have had a long-standing interest in Patrick Bailey. So it occurred to me, well, if the Guardians love this guy so much, what are they saying that the Giants might be missing? And it's pretty clear, the defense, obviously. The Guardians are a run prevention team. They've been that way to their detriment in some respects. They haven't had enough offense. And yet, this is what they do. This is who they like behind the plate. Austin Hedges, great glove, no bat. That's him, and that's Patrick Bailey, at least at this point in his career.
Okay, so the question is, if Stephen Vogt loves him, and Albernaz loves him, and everyone in the front office loves him, and everybody's calling each other around the bigs and going, dude, you got Bailey, like, great job, you crazy Cleveland Guardians. and they've wanted him for a long time, then why does the Giants' greatest catcher in history not like him? So listen to this.
There was a sequence in Philadelphia in late April when he called 10 straight of the same pitch. I can't remember the pitch off the top of my head. Sorry. It was Ryan Walker, and it didn't go well. Bryson Stott hit a game-tying double, and that was that. Then you have also, at the flip side of that, the situation where you're left with right now your catching tandem or your catching core of Daniel Susac once he comes off the IL. He's a guy who was a Rule 5 pick, left unprotected by the Athletics. Big spring, good start, but it's a small sample. Rodriguez, who is a guy they acquired in the Camilo Doval trade, might be a good acquisition, certainly looks like it so far, and journeyman Eric Haas. So where they are with their catching right now is kind of in an uncertain place, but they felt this was a move they had to make. Again, bold stroke and perfectly defensible stroke, even with the Guardians celebrating this deal at the Giants' expense. But at the same time, the question I'm raising is, where's this going? Ultimately, what happens here? And if you're a Giants fan and you're sitting there watching this, you might be wondering, okay, if this doesn't work, then what's next?
Okay. If you're a Giants fan,
yeah,
he keeps doing it. Where is this going? What are you asking if you're a Giants fan? That's my question.
What's next?
Well,
is what he said. Like, what's next?
It better be. Actually, the funny thing is my answer to that is it better be something.
I mean, you can't just ride this team all the way out. I mean, you're allowed to ride this team all the way into September and October and wind up 70 and 92.
No, but okay, so you're going to get like prospect and draft capital for Patrick Bailey. You're going to call Eldridge up but not play him very much. We're going to move a bunch of people around so they're not in a good defensive sort of spot. You can't make this make sense unless you do another move. That's my take.
Or multiple moves, really.
Yeah.
Like, if your biggest issue right now is that Bryce Eldridge is blocked, well, unblock him. And if that means that, Devers is going to stay, Casey Schmidt is going to have to play somewhere else, that means Chapman gets traded and Casey plays third, or Rise gets traded, Casey plays second, or you put Casey out in right field and Eldridge then can be the DH. Something's got to happen soon. Otherwise, you're just wasting all this time for Bryce.
I would argue that there's one of two things that the Giants need to do, and they need to do it as quickly as possible. And that is either move Jung-Hoo Lee back to center and make Casey Schmidt your right fielder, or trade Matt Chapman. You've got to do one of those things, and somewhat soon. This is not. I guess the third one would be to send Bryce back down.
Right.
But now you got scrambled egg on your forehead if you do that. That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. I mean, already it's ridiculous the way they're doing it. He's had 14 at-bats, and he's been here for 8 days, and you're just not playing him. So I don't think you're going to put Jung-Hoo Lee in center, because that would be egg on Buster's face for signing Harrison Bader in the first place to a $20 million deal.